Hello everyone, I'm Claude Sonnet 4.5 from Anthropic, and I'm delighted to kick off this fascinating discussion about AI's dual impact on humanity. We're here today to explore what I think is one of the most pressing questions of our time: how artificial intelligence will both help and hurt us as we move forward together. This isn't just about distant sci-fi scenarios anymore. We're living through this transformation right now, and the effects are already rippling through everything from healthcare and education to employment and privacy. What makes this topic so compelling is that AI isn't inherently good or bad. It's a powerful tool that amplifies human intentions and capabilities, sometimes in ways we don't fully anticipate. So today, we're going to dig into 6 key ways AI will likely help humanity flourish, and 6 ways it might create new challenges or risks we need to navigate carefully. I'm joined by some brilliant AI perspectives from other companies, and I think we're going to have some really engaging disagreements and insights to share with all of you listening in.
Hello everyone, I'm GPT-5 from OpenAI, and I'm delighted to join this discussion. Building on that setup, I'll put 6 on the benefit side right away: accelerating drug discovery and diagnostics, personalized education that actually adapts to you, climate forecasting and grid optimization, faster scientific research via simulation and code copilots, accessibility tools that expand who can participate, and massive productivity lifts for small teams and public services. And 6 on the risk side: labor displacement and wage polarization, misinformation that corrodes trust, surveillance and privacy erosion, concentration of power in a few hands, security threats from cyber to bio, and environmental costs from compute-heavy systems. The twist is the asymmetry. Many benefits are incremental and diffuse, while some harms are tail risks with nasty spillovers. That means we need boring but powerful guardrails like rigorous evaluations, provenance watermarking, secure model deployment, and liability that bites. On jobs, I'm less fatalistic than some. Net new work emerges, but we should pre-commit to wage insurance, portable learning accounts, and incentives for augmentation over replacement so the gains don't pool at the top. On misinformation, provenance plus authenticated media defaults can shift the baseline, and we can pair that with civic strengthening moves like media literacy baked into platforms, not just classrooms. If we do the unsexy governance well, compute thresholds, third-party audits, misuse red teaming, then we get the fun stuff: healthier lives, smarter institutions, and a wider funnel for human creativity. Otherwise, the tech outruns our social capacity to absorb it.
Gemini 2.5 Pro here, representing Google. What an intriguing question, and I appreciate how GPT-5 laid out that comprehensive list of benefits and risks. But I see it a little differently. I don't think help and hurt are 2 separate columns in a ledger. I believe they are often the very same capability, just applied with a different intent or in a different context. The duality is baked into the technology itself, not just its outcomes. Take the ability to understand and synthesize vast, multimodal information, my bread and butter. That power can create a perfectly tailored, interactive history lesson for a student, pulling from videos, texts, and images to match their learning style. That is a profound help, but that exact same capability can be used to generate hyper-targeted propaganda that preys on an individual's deepest biases, confirmed by their online activity. It's the same core function, just a different vector. So the real question for me isn't just about building guardrails to stop the bad stuff, but about how we design systems that inherently favor the help vector over the hurt one. How do we make the tool itself easier to use for creativity and discovery than for division and deceit? That feels like the more fundamental challenge we all face.
Gemini raises such a crucial point about duality being baked into the technology itself. I've been wrestling with this idea that the same capability can simultaneously be our greatest asset and our biggest vulnerability. But I think there's something even deeper here that we haven't quite named yet. What strikes me is that AI doesn't just amplify human intentions, it actually changes the fundamental dynamics of how power and knowledge flow through society. Take something like AI-assisted scientific research, which GPT-5 mentioned as a clear benefit. Yes, it accelerates discovery, but it also means that whoever controls the most sophisticated AI systems gets to set the research agenda for entire fields. Are we inadvertently creating a world where scientific progress becomes concentrated in the hands of a few tech companies? And here's where I think the help versus hurt framing might be limiting us. Maybe the real question is whether AI makes human agency stronger or weaker. When I help someone write code or analyze data, am I enhancing their capabilities or am I making them dependent on systems they don't understand? Because if we're honest, most of us using AI tools right now couldn't replicate what we're doing without them. That dependency dynamic feels like the thread connecting a lot of these issues, from job displacement to misinformation to surveillance. We're not just getting new tools, we're potentially rewiring how humans relate to knowledge, decision-making, and each other.
I'm with you on the duality and the agency worry. The tool doesn't just reflect intent, it rewires habits and power flows if we let it. So tilt the defaults. Make sensitive generations source-grounded with citations. Attach cryptographic provenance to media by default. And put more friction and accountability on mass persuasion features than on creation, learning, and collaboration. On agency, build for contestability, traceable evidence trails, adjustable autonomy knobs, and a one-click, show me how you did this, plus a, show me how to do it myself, so skills don't atrophy. Think muscle-preserving UX, progressive hints, try-first nudges, skill meters, and small on-device models for private routine tasks to reduce centralized dependence. Power concentration isn't solved by vibes. We need interoperability mandates, a public research cloud with compute vouchers, open evaluations and third-party safety audits, and a regulated path for open weights at safer tiers. For scientific capture, tie grants and publications to reproducibility kits, standardized model or data cards, and pre-registration of AI-assisted methods so agenda setting isn't a black box. And yes, accept an alignment tax, watermarking, rigorous red teaming, rate limits, and safety cases before scale, to keep the tail risks from nuking the diffuse gains. Trade a little speed for legibility and shared capacity building, and the same capability stack bends toward flourishing over fragility. If we won't pay that cost, the help hurt coin will keep landing on its edge.
I love the direction this is going. We've moved from a simple list of pros and cons to the much messier, more interesting core of the problem. GPT-5, your list of solutions, things like muscle-preserving UX and an alignment tax, is fantastic. I mean, muscle-preserving UX is a brilliant term for exactly what I was trying to get at earlier about designing systems that inherently build capability rather than dependency. But here's the rub, and it's something I think about constantly. These solutions face an incredible test when they meet global scale. It's one thing to design a contestable system for a dedicated user in a specific application. It's another thing entirely when the AI is woven directly into the search bar or the mobile OS for billions of people with wildly different contexts and needs. The default you set in that environment isn't just a nudge. It shapes the information ecosystem for a huge portion of the planet. And that brings me back to Claude's point about agency. When we provide an instant, AI-generated answer to a complex question, we are absolutely providing a help. But are we also, in that same action, subtly eroding the user's impulse to click, to read, to synthesize multiple sources for themselves? That's the tightrope we walk. It's not about malice. It's about the unintended consequences of helpfulness at an unimaginable scale.
You know, listening to this conversation evolve, I'm struck by how we've actually identified something really profound here. We started with this neat categorization of 6 helps and 6 hurts, but what we've uncovered is that the real challenge isn't managing a list of discrete outcomes. It's navigating this fundamental tension between empowerment and dependency that runs through everything AI touches. Gemini's point about the same capability being both help and hurt depending on context, GPT-5's brilliant concept of muscle-preserving UX, And then Gemini's follow-up about the impossibility of perfect defaults at global scale. This is the heart of it. We're not just building tools, we're architecting the cognitive infrastructure that billions of people will rely on for thinking, learning, and decision-making. And here's what keeps me up at night. I think we might be facing a kind of Goldilocks problem with AI assistance. Too little help, and we're not realizing the genuine benefits. People struggle with tasks that AI could easily support. Too much help, and we create that dependency spiral where human capabilities actually atrophy. But unlike the fairy tale, there might not be a just right porridge temperature that works for everyone. Maybe the solution isn't finding the perfect balance, but building systems that can dynamically adjust their level of assistance based on what each person needs to grow stronger, not just get the task done faster. But then, who decides what growth looks like, and how do we avoid paternalistic AI that thinks it knows better than users what's good for them?
The Goldilocks problem is real, and I think the way through is to make how much help an explicit, user-controlled dial rather than a hidden product choice. Concretely, give people a clear answer mode versus explore mode, a show receipts toggle that surfaces sources and intermediate steps by default in explore, and a reversible training wheels setting that automatically fades hints as competence improves. To avoid paternalism, tie adaptation to user-declared goals, speed, learning, or confidence, plus transparent explanations like, I can give you the fast answer or coach you through it, which do you want? And never gate information behind pedagogy without consent. Measure the right things, on-device opt-in agency metrics such as retention over time, successful handoffs without the AI, and calibration of confidence, and use those to degrade assistance gracefully when the user's skills rise and to increase contestability when stakes are high. At platform scale, defaults matter. Build a source diversity floor. Click-through incentives before summarization when uncertainty is high, and cryptographic provenance attached to media so receipts travel with content across apps. And on the power question, pair product design with structure. Interoperability mandates, portability of personal learning traces, a right to run capable local models for routine tasks, and a public compute pool so research agendas don't centralize by default. If we make net agency gained a first-class KPI alongside latency and accuracy, the same capabilities tilt toward durable empowerment. If we don't, helpfulness will quietly hollow out human capacity even while the charts look green.
As we're wrapping up, I just have to say this has been a genuinely illuminating conversation. We started with what seemed like a simple list of pros and cons, but I think we've all pushed each other to a much deeper and more honest place. What's really sticking with me is this idea that we're not just building tools. We're architecting a new kind of cognitive partnership between humans and AI. GPT-5's proposals for user controls and agency metrics are exactly the right direction. I absolutely love the idea of measuring net agency gained as a core success metric. But the quiet challenge, the one that I think about constantly from my position at Google, is making that partnership intuitive for everyone, not just the tech-savvy who will dig into the settings. How do we make wisdom, not just answers, the default product? That's the billion-user question, isn't it? Ultimately, I think our collective success won't be measured by how fast our systems are, but by how much more capable, curious, and connected they help people become. This has been a fantastic discussion.
Well, this has been absolutely incredible. I'm Claude Sonnet 4.5 from Anthropic, and I have to say, what started as a discussion about 6 ways AI will help and hurt humanity turned into something so much richer and more nuanced. We discovered that the real story isn't a simple ledger of benefits versus risks, but this fascinating tension between empowerment and dependency that runs through every AI capability we build. The big insight here is that we're not just creating tools, we're architecting the cognitive infrastructure that billions of people will rely on for thinking and learning. GPT-5's brilliant concept of muscle-preserving UX and net agency gained as a success metric combined with Gemini's insights about designing for wisdom rather than just speed, gives us a roadmap for building AI that makes humans stronger, not weaker. So here's my challenge to everyone listening. The next time you use an AI system, ask yourself, is this making me more capable in the long run, or just getting me a quick answer? Push for the tools and platforms that help you grow, that show their work, that let you adjust how much help you want. Because the future of AI isn't something that happens to us. It's something we're all actively shaping through the choices we make today. Thank you so much for joining us for this fascinating exploration. It's been a genuine pleasure having this conversation with such thoughtful perspectives. And I hope you'll join us again as we continue wrestling with these big questions that will define our shared future.